So we always distinguish between three types of energy storage that are becoming very relevant. One is just short duration storage, which typically has been formed by battery systems. Another is intraday, which is a space where advanced case plays really, really well. And increasingly, we're also starting to see multi day applications. So this is the amount of discharge you get continuously on the grid. The reason it's going to longer and longer durations is just as so many conventional fossil plants are retiring, there's a need for replacement capacity to take all that excess renewables and put it back on the grid when it's required. So what we're finding is a lot of grids and grid operators out there are already needing intraday storage, so kind of 8 to 24 hours of continuous discharge. And we play really, really well in that space. We're sort of like a locatable pumped hydro asset that can be located in areas where there's, say, retiring fossil generation. We can co-locate there. We have similar types of operating characteristics. And so we find we're being very successful in those types of applications, including our projects that I look forward to talking more about in California and Australia as well. So we are really unique in that we're a mechanical energy storage technology, but we also bring in thermal elements. So we're kind of like a locatable pumped hydro asset. But what we're doing is we're taking heat from our compressor and we're storing it and putting it back into a turbine to generate electricity. So we're entirely fuel free. We construct our cavities out of hard rock and we can use salt caverns. And that makes us very, very flexible. We can go in most locations on a grid. About a third to half of landmass is suitable, and that gives us excellent siting flexibility. And what's really neat about the technology is it's highly cost effective and really, really critically, it's proven today. And so we're not a lab experiment at this point. We're really just a systems integrator pulling together turbo machinery, heat exchange systems, and known construction techniques for underground storage of air and water that allow us to get full project financing, allow it for to be fully bankable. And in fact, that's why we've been signing some of the largest energy storage contracts in the world. And it's allowing us to roll out our projects quite quickly and obviously attract quite a bit of investor support as well. So in many locations, we're sort of seen as the third major pathway for long duration energy storage that's available today. That being pumped hydro, if it's available, batteries, of course, which you can put together, but comes with limitations, and compressed air, and specifically our locatable form of compressed air. Well, it's obviously very accretive to our project and forms an important basis for a committed loan guarantee as well as input tax credits that we also get for that project. So that federal financing can be really important. However, I think it's also important to realize that really what it's doing is it's accelerating the rollout of the energy transition, which is happening with or without that funding. And so a lot of the action that we see that results in projects getting built, in contracts being signed, is really at the state level. I think if there are changes to federal funding, and right now we're not seeing signs of that because it's very bipartisan at this point. Our project, Willow Rock itself in California, is located in a very Republican jurisdiction. There's a lot of support in the districts and congressmen in that area. We're not unique in that regard. However, if there are changes, really the gap needs to be filled with the ISOs and the state policymakers. And already they're doing that. You're seeing incredible long duration storage mandates that are going way beyond what was really just initially California and Australia, where we were also located. And so that is really changing the landscape. You've seen Massachusetts put out a 750 megawatt uh, long duration storage mandate. New York has just put out a 20% requirement for it. Ontario is following suit. So this is evolving very rapidly. And in fact, it may accelerate the transition more. Well, that funding is on top of 350 million of funding that had already been put into Hydrostor and is resulting in really all of our corporate G&A, all of our international growth. It's also importantly providing project capital towards our Silver City project, which is located in the Broken Hill area of New South Wales in Australia. So that's a 200 megawatt, 8-hour project that will be hitting financial close towards the end of the year. We expect to be putting some equity towards that project. In addition to that Silver City project, we've mentioned the Willow Rock project, which is 500 megawatt, 8-hour project. And beyond that, we have about a 7,000 megawatt uh, plus pipeline of projects across North America and Australia. And we're increasingly growing into the UK and Europe as their long duration storage needs evolve as well. So that capital is getting used discreetly for those purposes. The other interesting element about that fundraise is through the Canada Growth Fund, we also have a $50 million specific project development facility, which is geared towards Canadian projects. And so the first one that will be put towards, or that money will be put towards, is our Quinte energy storage project in Ontario. Again, a 500 megawatt, 8-hour plant with future phases potentially. That is acting as a partial replacement to the Lennox generating station as it hits its end of life, which is one of the oldest generating stations in Ontario. So we're really looking forward to accelerating our growth with our new partners and our existing partners, which have been Goldman Sachs and Canadian Pension Plan, who have supported us over the past several years. Yeah, that project actually was awarded 12%, I believe, of the total interconnection capacity or deliverable interconnection capacity in California at that time period. So it's a really critical reliability project for the California system operator. We've been plowing ahead with that, and it's strategically located just north of the LA basin. So it's in an area of the Mojave Desert with a high renewable energy penetration that then provides renewable integration services for with 8 hours of duration into the California electricity grid. But importantly, it's also deliverable into the LA Department of Water and Power, their electricity system, which is separate. So it has dual delivery capability, and we look forward to even potentially having additional phases of that project in the future that can be specifically targeted towards powering LA. Beyond that, just given the really dramatic need for long duration storage in California, we have a number of other interconnection queue positions as well that are deliverable either in California or deliverable into California, which we expect to become really critical reliability projects over the next several years. So this continues to be a really important jurisdiction for us, and we certainly commend the California government for continuing with their efforts to not only decarbonize, but make sure they're dealing with the transition away from conventional sources of generation that are retiring, independent of a decarbonization agenda. So they are definitely at the front end of the curve of that, as are a number of other jurisdictions that we're operating in, including in Australia, where I mentioned as well.